Good afternoon. We're going to call the meeting to order, and we're just going to do the roll call just for records, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Emma Byrd, Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Michael Atkinson, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Thank you. We ask if you have any devices, if you would silence them for us, please. And if you'd like to speak, please speak, fill out a card and give it to the clerk. And thank you so much. First thing up is bids.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Emily Hunter, Community Relations and Legislative Director. This item was previously brought to you all earlier this year, and on March 11th, we brought it to you all to reject the sole bid. We did go out for bid again for the 5 ship homes. We received bids from 2 contractors. One of the contractors, all of the bids that they submitted were incomplete. One of the contractors, we are requesting for you to approve 3 of the bids that they submitted and allow us to go back out to bid for the 2 remaining projects.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm going to abstain. We've done work with 2SBW, with my employer, Clyde Johnson Contracting and Roofing. We've recently done 2 jobs for them. We bid some of these jobs that they've got up on the agenda today back in February, which those bids are no longer good, which we have no intention of doing work with them in the future. But for that purpose, I want to go ahead and abstain.
Okay. Any
So, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, what was your request again, Ms. Hunter?
The
I'm sorry,
request is to approve 3 of the bid submittals from 2SBW for 1227 Louisiana Avenue, 1226 Virginia Avenue, and 1041 Mississippi Avenue, and then allow us to go back out to bid for 1231 Louisiana Avenue and 317 East Obispo Avenue.
So Emily, even if they're over 50,000, it shouldn't be extend 50?
We're not, that's one of the ones we're requesting to go out for rebid.
Okay.
All of the 3 projects that we're requesting are 50,000 or below.
Okay, and the 1045 Mississippi as well?
I believe that's for 50,000.
Okay, okay. I need a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to go with option 1 to accept the submissions from 2SBW and allow for a rebid on 1231 Louisiana Avenue and 317 East Obispo Avenue.
We'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner House, second by Commissioner Iglesias. I'm sorry.
I got a question.
Okay, excuse me a minute.
317 East Obispo, what's the reason for that one being rebid?
Only one.
That was I believe that was the one bid that was accepted was an incomplete bid.
Okay,
Both contractors did not bid on that, and the one contractor who did, their bid was incomplete.
so they only bid on part of the scope?
They did not submit all of the required paperwork.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner House, second by Commissioner Wills. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to pull C3. So next we have the consent agenda.
Motion to approve remainder.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wells, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stand. I believe it's Commissioner Iglesias that asked to pull C3.
Correct. I didn't have time to reach out to staff, so I wanted to know, why are we needing to waive the formal bidding process on this?
We went out to bid and we received 1 bid, and at the last meeting, you rejected that bid because it was just 1 and it was very high. And so we're requesting to waive it due to time. The rainy season's coming in. Some of these buildings are leaking, and we've got issues. And originally, we were trying to use inmate labor, and that didn't pan out. And so from a timing perspective, we're just trying to get it done.
Okay, out of curiosity, because I'm a fan of inmate labor, why didn't the inmate labor work out?
I don't think.
Quality of
um,
work?
I don't want to,
Okay.
I think it was,
Ability.
partially availability and some of the work, like at the EOC, I mean, it's tall and, you know, maybe some of the buildings, like the admin building or something like that, that would have been something that they could do, but at the admin building, we're having seepage issues and we're having to seal it, so it's not just painting, we're having to dig out around the building, we're having to seal it and then paint it because we've got water intrusion coming in through the floor.
Okay, I'll make a,
It turned out to be more complicated than we originally, right?
that's fine. All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Howell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion stands. The next thing we have is staff report. The road and bridges up.
We do,
Awards and
I don't
Madam
have
Chair, have
anything.
awards, appearances,
Am I
and
missing it?
public hearings.
I don't have anything on the awards appearance. I don't have it.
Just use mine.
So we have a public hearing, no, awards, okay. We have for the award proclamation for National Public Works Week. I didn't have that.
Well, that would be appropriate. Well, you know, I think Commissioner Howard should.
Let me try to reset mine while you're doing that.
National Public Works Week, proclamation May 18th through the 24th, 2025. People, purpose, and presence. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and services that are vital, important to the sustainability and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Hendry County, Florida. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals, who are federally mandated first responders, the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other infrastructures, facilities essential for our citizens. Whereas it is in the public interest of the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Hendry County, Florida, to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest in understanding the importance of public works, first responders, and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, along with Canadian Public Works Association, be it now resolved, you, Ms. Byrd, of Hendry County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby designate the week, May 18th through the 24th, 2025, as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives for the American Public Works Association, government agencies, and activities, events, ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, employees, to recognize sustainable contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, quality of life. Whereas I hereby unto set my hand, cause the seal of the state of Florida, Ms. Byrd, done in Clewiston, Florida, Hendry County, this 13th day of May 25. If I could just say something on that, our public works, when you look at our public works on every level, you look at this, these men and women put their lives on the line every day, some of them, and I believe this is something, and when you look at the engineers, the tireless hours, I see Mr. Parker's vehicle over there way more than it's supposed to be, but it's here at work. So as you go through your solid waste programs, that's something that I don't like to brag on Jimmy, but I'm going to. Those guys, tireless hours, he has an amazing crew, so as of Hendry County, what I look at here for the many years I was actually on staff working shoulder to shoulder, it's an honor to sit here tonight and read this into an existence to each one of you that's here tonight, along with our emergency response services that we have. So thank you all for what you do.
Thank you. You know, I have to agree with him. I tell you, when I call some of them, I say, where you at? And it's 7 o'clock and they just not going home. You know, most of us is already home at 5 o'clock or, you know, maybe 5:30, but 7 o'clock, they're just not leaving their work site when they should be leaving at 5 and they're just going home. That means they go beyond. So I appreciate that, and I'm pretty sure the residents of Henry County do as well. So thank you so much. Thanks for reading that in. So this is public hearing. Thank you, Ms. Emily.
For the record, Emily Hunter. Commissioners, this is the second public hearing required for the CDBG small grant application process. The following must be accomplished through this agenda item: a public hearing to consider public input on a proposed 23-24 CDBG housing application. We're requesting direction for staff to submit the grant application. We're seeking approval for the proposed CDBG housing assistance plan and approval of the proposed resolution. At the April 22nd meeting, the board approved staff to pursue the proposed grant, and with assistance from our grant consultants, we narrowed it down to requesting an application, submitting an application for housing rehabilitation for up to 14 homes.
I'd make a
I'll make a
motion to
motion.
approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wells, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank you.
This is a public hearing.
And this is the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion stands. Next, we have the boat ramp parking.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I know, right?
This should be interesting.
Give me just a second to get set up.
Mr. Howard, isn't that you?
I think this will be easy.
I hope. Well, it's easy to put it in place. Ma'am.
All right. Good evening. For the record, Ryan Alexander, Director of Planning and Community Development. The first item on the agenda is to amend the Code of Ordinance, Section 1-6-1, to include the total area of the boat parking, or the boat ramp and parking areas, to restrict parking in marked stalls to vehicles with a boat in tow, and to restrict aircraft from utilizing the boat ramp. The current boat ramp ordinance does not address parking at the boat ramp. We've had some issues at the LaBelle boat ramp with neighboring businesses that have been parking at the boat ramp and not leaving enough room for boaters. So Stephen went through last year and marked each of the spots. There's 18 total spots. 14 have been marked for boat parking only, and then 4 additional spaces have been left for people utilizing. There's 2 pavilions there, so people utilizing the pavilions or meeting somebody at the boat ramp. We also addressed aircraft at the boat ramp. It's come to staff's attention that aircraft have been coming up into the LaBelle boat ramp, which has caused a safety issue. So we are addressing the utilization of aircraft at the boat ramps and restricting that at the boat ramp parking as well. And that's really it in a nutshell. I went through and I found for violations, the enforcement. First enforcement action would be a warning, then a $50 violation, a $75 violation, and a $100 violation. This is in conjunction with parking and also docking, so that's why it has impoundment of a boat. It wouldn't be applicable in this situation. And I have a meeting with Chief Nelson next Tuesday to talk about enforcement and to go through how we can work through this and to make sure there's availability of parking for boaters at the boat ramp.
They're posted on the site.
It will be posted. We're still working through that. There are signs there. There's a fire lane there. We have, if you see, this is a picture of the boat ramp itself, and we've marked each of the spaces. But I am working with Stephen to get some more signage out there when you first come in to state that it's boat ramp. It's for boat ramp parking only.
Have you all had a problem since you marked them?
Yeah, it's still, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It's not
It's constant.
So out of curiosity, Kevin, I'm going to call you out on the new fire lane striping that has been added close to the launch and to the not the brewery, but what is the other thing? The launch and what's the other restaurant there?
They have the
Tiki
lunch,
bar.
the
Tiki bar.
The
yeah.
Tiki, okay.
And the hotel.
I'm assuming that they've had people park in the fire lane. Do you know if y'all have had anyone towed at this point? Okay. Okay.
We can talk through that piece as well, and I'll add a note here for the fire lanes.
Yeah, and so I just, not that you want to, but I'm gonna tell you, until you send that flare up in the air and get a couple of people towed, nothing's really gonna change. So you're gonna have the support of law enforcement to handle what needs to be handled, because the day that fire services need to show up and do what they need to do, someone's gonna be parked there. And we've been dealing with that parking lot for a few years.
Commissioner Iglesias? I'm sorry.
Why you?
I don't know. Maybe y'all look alike. What you think?
He wants to be.
So, Commissioner Iglesias, can you go back to the fines, Mr. Alexander?
Oh,
Are you, is that
Not
worth,
enough.
I mean, you're usually an advocate for this, so
That's not enough.
I was thinking the same thing. I just figured I'd ask you, because, I
So
mean,
it-
$50 and
So did you, who came up with those numbers? Is that what?
that's what I'm
That's what was
wondering.
already on the books for docking and mooring of vessels.
So is that something, Mr. Rollerson, that if we, as county staff or as county commissioners, could we not change that? I mean, in policy, right?
You may change it.
we can change it?
I think when you start getting their attention, like you said,
Yeah. It's not that we want to, but
No,
I'm just
it's-
telling you, until you do, you're really not gonna change anything.
well, again, then this is something that's ongoing. I mean, it's been going for how many years now?
So, all of my elected life.
Well, I've been giving them your number.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say, Madam Chair, I'll also say that the launch and their personnel, they have they've been engaging in this and trying to help, getting their patrons to park across the street or in the other designated parking spaces on the property, and it is not working.
So how would you feel about the first one? Your warning is a $50 fine. Second one, your second violation's a $100 fine. Your third one's $150, and then your fourth one's $200.
I think the warning is suggested first. I would love to warn it coming before destruction. I mean, I know it's there, but I would like to give the warning first.
So, for me, what's important, that the sheriff department never have to get involved, because they've got way more important things to do. But on the same token, if you don't hit their wallet and scare them away, you know,
And once they get the warning, then you up it. I wouldn't do 50, I'd do the 100 for the first one.
Kevin, do you have any suggestions as far as a fee goes, just so that hopefully you guys get to the point where they'll be so scared of a fee that they'll never park there and you won't ever be called?
Well, and as he's coming, Commissioner, how about this? Your loved one's on the boat, they've had a heart attack. You can't get an ambulance in there because everything's blocked. At what point does $100 not cover someone's life?
Right.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Nelson, representing Sheriff Steve Wooden. We're actually talking about two different things here. That's dealing with boats, and the parking lot is in your ordinance already for parking violations. So those can be cited in your ordinance or off the statute. If we have a driver, we use the statute. If we don't have a driver, we use the ordinance.
Okay.
What are those amounts, sir?
Sorry,
What are the amounts of those?
probably like $15, something like that. They're not real steep. Now, the fire lane was different. Yeah, that's gonna be a higher fee.
So the ones that, are they set by the sheriff department or are they set by the county,
State.
the state?
Oh, you can't override that.
We
huh,
can't
Matt?
change.
Matt's not that good, but,
Well, we can have our own, I mean, for parking purposes, we could regulate that. I mean, if you're talking about, I mean, it depends on what violation of the law you're implicating. It could be a state violation and a county violation.
Right.
But we could be more stringent than the state is if we want to.
Just not less.
Correct.
so I know for the people in the public, it probably sounds like we're being big government, right? The problem is you have a public boat ramp that is utilized for people going out to, go out on the river. But there's local businesses that are using the facility, the parking facility, or their patrons are, so that when people try to go use the facilities at the boat ramp, they're not able to because there's nowhere to park. Now, granted, it would be nice for us to have a parking lot that was 10 times as big as it is now, but we're limited to what we have, and we are working on something. But in the meantime, we're trying to deter
Madam Chair.
people using it when they're not supposed to.
Yes,
But you're right, Commissioner, and to take it a step further also, in the summertime, when the ramp's getting its peak of the season, boaters are parking their trucks and trailers out on the side of County Road 78, and that is a serious safety hazard there, not to mention if we had to get a ambulance or a fire truck in there, it would almost be impossible with the way the parking's going right now. In fact, we did have a large boat fire at that location, and they struggled with enough room to get in there, so.
so what are your
That's a hard
recommendations
parking lot anyway.
as far as pricing go?
I'm good with the first violation of warning, but 100, 150, and 200.
Need a motion to put that in play.
Well, so moved.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Howard, second by, I'm getting it backwards,
Mr.
Commissioner
Iglesias.
Iglesias.
So for clarification, Matt, are we adding so this is for mooring for boats,
Well, we're
Go-
adding it to the parking
and we're
portion
gonna
of it.
add a parking portion with the same, with the 100, 150, and 200 to the same ordinance, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Matt Rogers, County Attorney for the record, it's to, stop people from parking where boat, or trailer and vehicle parking should go.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak concerning that? Thank you so much.
Madam
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
there was one other minor language change. Ryan and I talked about it, 161F, only motor vehicles with trailers in tow, and I asked Ryan if we could put boat trailers in tow. Otherwise, that leaves a lot to.
Vans.
The people that got, yeah.
Well, other types of trailers, which it wasn't intended for.
But some people don't pull they pull their boats on trailers, they don't. So it's the
Yeah.
same.
So Kevin, if you guys start getting calls about towing and it becomes an issue, then let us know so we can revisit increasing those fines to hopefully deter people from doing that, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Did we have a vote?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we did. Okay, Ryan, you still up?
All right, the second item is LDC 25-0001. This is addressing shipping containers as an accessory storage structure in Hendry County. We have brought this a couple times now. We've been talking it through. What I left with last time was two different options. There was a difference between 1 acre parcels and 3/4 of an acre parcel. I was working with Stephen, but we weren't able to get the maps, and I believe an email was sent out earlier. So I'm recommending that we continue this until the next board meeting so that we can get those maps and I can show you exactly what that's opening up. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to talk about it a little bit and have a discussion because I've gotten some different feedback from different commissioners as far as the allowance overall. So what we had talked about last time was, let's just go with option one. They're both the same thing, just one's 3/4 of an acre and one's 1 acre. So option one would allow any parcel within Hendry County that's more than 1 acre, except for in Banyan Village and Port LaBelle, to have a 40-foot shipping container. If they had 2 acres, they could have 2 shipping containers. 3 acres, still 2 shipping containers. It would just be a maximum of 2. But then what we had talked about was not restricting people because they don't have a certain amount of acreage and allowing people with less than 1 acre to have a 20-foot shipping container on their parcel. Now, that opened up a broader discussion with places we have like Riverbend, Rialto Point, some of these neighborhoods, Fort Deneau, some of those neighborhoods that might not want it in their neighborhood. So opening up that discussion and seeing if there was some feedback, maybe we need to carve out a couple more places other than Banyan Village and Port LaBelle.
Any comment?
Madam Chair?
I guess I'll,
You can go ahead.
okay, I'm sorry.
That's
I was thinking about our first map that we set up and then realizing that when this second one comes out, that it's gonna really narrow down. So I started talking to some of the folks in my district and some of the folks that really had an issue with the shipping containers in their location. I know some of the HOAs automatically will. So I was trying to think through how could we carve out the areas that want them right now and need them and not open up that acreage so much that it encompasses almost the entire county.
Well, I think like you said, Commissioner and Madam Chair, I believe like you said, most of your HOAs are gonna disqualify them right out the gate. So most of your areas, Riverbend and areas like that, they're gonna disqualify that right out the gate. But your other areas, I mean, a lot of my district, if you ride through it, a shipping container will be an upgrade. I mean, these folks, what they have is, they're struggling to get by. And we had this conversation in the last meeting, and when you purchase one of these, you can purchase it cheaper in a shed. And, Charlie come on and talked about it on Facebook a little after that meeting. So when you look at this is gonna make it more affordable for some of these folks to replace old sheds that are falling apart. They can put them in there and and decorative, if you wanna do them decorative, paint them, I don't have an issue with that. But I believe we should give, these folks own the property, and I think we should give them the right, if they want to put it there, they should have the right to do it. And I, you know, Commissioner Turner used to get on me all the time about land rights, and I agree with that. But I think we should look at the next map, take a look at that, and just my opinion, and then go from there.
Well, I would like to do that same thing. I just think there's some places that they're just not gonna be appropriate, I believe. And I would, if we have to, maybe look at carving those areas out and, you know, go from there. I did talk to Tommy, and he sent me some information. We currently have, right now, 16 active code cases going on about shipping containers. Now, it may be that they just have one and they shouldn't have one there. It could be other things like condition and those type of things. So I don't know that answer, but that's another aspect of this we need to be thinking about is, you know, what's that code, load on code enforcement gonna be with shipping containers?
And 16 cases of the ones that are open that we're aware of.
That's correct. That's correct.
Out of curiosity, Madam Chair, Mr. Vaughn, how many of those are because they're living in them? I mean, that's a different animal. You know, we're not talking about living in these, we're talking about storage, so.
Right.
I'm just curious how many of them actually, you know, using them for a home, maybe. I mean, that could be part of the violation, Commissioners.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tommy Vaughn. Of the list that I sent you, I believe there was 2, maybe 3 using them as homes.
Right, correct.
They were still illegal. They were never permitted to be
But
a
they're
shipping
using them for
container
a
home.
home.
Or a rental.
And this is completely opposite. We're talking about for storage only. We're not talking about using them for a residence. So
Right, yes, sir.
you'd still have code violations in that aspect with that, so.
And I do think we need to revisit, because if we do open this can of worms up with housing being in the situation that is in, we might be opening up a can of worms.
Well, I think we can get there. I think Commissioner Wills has got some valid points in the locations that he's brought to the board, but I do think that there's some places that they would not be, and some of the words I got back were, you're gonna degrade my property if I have one next door to me. And so I've got to look at that angle as well. But I think there's an answer to this, especially if we can get that map and then play with the overlay.
So Tommy, the ones that they're living, is their home also, or is just the container itself? Is there a home on the property with it? So it's a home in, okay,
Madam Chair.
yes.
So my only thing with this is to make sure that whenever we got that last slide, there was little dots in certain locations with nothing else around them. Those are the ones we really got to look at to remove. When there's one that fits the description that we're putting out, and then there's 20 lots around it that doesn't comply. So we have to, those might be the ones we have to throw out and say, these don't get it. Because if you got one landowner that can get it, 20 around them that can't, that's gonna cause another problem. And not only if they put it, then that's the valid point of the ones around them complaining that
That's why this
my
came
value.
about, because we did have somebody that didn't have a large enough acre to put one, and just trying to accommodate him to have that same right, so.
And I think we can go smaller in certain locations.
You mean smaller on the container itself, or?
Well,
or the
smaller
lot?
on the container or smaller on the lot, as
Okay.
long as it fits the area.
Good conversation, and a good point, Commissioner Howard, because there's gonna be some areas that don't fit. And the more we get these maps and can draw down on it, then we can actually, you know, pinpoint those areas, so.
I agree. I think it's just a tweak.
So this is just open for discussion. We are bringing it back at this time, right?
Do you need a motion for that table?
Need a motion to bring it back at a date certain.
I'll make a motion to
Second.
bring it back.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Davis. This is Atkinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion stands. This is a public hearing. I have Mr. Raphael that would like to speak. He left? Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public would like to speak concerning this matter? Thank you. Okay.
All right, the third item tonight is VA 25-0001. This is a variance for 3520 Rodeo Court in the Sky Valley subdivision in Clewiston. The variance request is to reduce the minimum setback by 10 feet from the rear and 10 feet from the front, resulting in a rear setback of 15 feet and a front setback of 25 feet to allow room for placement of a home. This one and the next one you guys are going to see are both side by side in Sky Valley. They're both unique lots, the way that they're situated. It's hard to build a home on the shape of the lot. If you've ever been out to Sky Valley, they're nicer homes, they're larger homes. And so to build a home that's in character with the neighborhood, reducing these setbacks really allows that to happen and allows them to have an accessory structure on there.
Yeah, those were platted wrong back when Sky Valley was platted originally. And the reality is if we don't do the setback, then what you're going to have there is a real small house. So I don't need to hear anything else from you. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Wells. All in favor?
I got one thing.
Yes.
Ryan, did you look at moving that back property line on those two lots? It looks like there's much more land but for the lake on this side than the other side. Of moving those property lines back and giving them more of that property instead of.
So we had discussed that, and I believe we had talked about it replat. It would have required an entire replat of Sky Valley. And so this gave him enough room. Mr. Westbury was happy with this. It gave him enough room to be able to build the lots there, or build the homes there on the lots. And so this worked instead of having to replat that entire area.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
While we're at it, can we go ahead and do the adjacent lots east? Because they're going to have even worse of a problem than what he's got.
So they were combined
3 and 4 was combined to one.
into one, so they have enough room on that one. And then the one around the corner, in looking at that one, I didn't think it would be an issue, but absolutely, if it's something I need to look at some more, we can bring it back as county initiated.
Yeah, they just.
The one at the top, it was combined as well?
So as you're looking down the street, you have your two lots on this side that were working on the variances. Right in the cul-de-sac, straight ahead, they were combined, so they have much more room on those lots.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak concerning this matter? Thank you. Motion stands. Still up.
VA 25-0002 is the applicant is requesting to reduce the rear setback, again, from 25 feet to 15 feet, and the front setback requirement from 35 to 25 for the placement of a home. This is the exact same as the other one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Atkinson, second by Commissioner Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time? Thank you. I do have a question. Is that a road in between there?
Not in between the lots, they're adjacent. The road would be to the south.
So what is that set off? It's like an alleyway. What is that? Come on,
It's
right?
probably just showing as the setbacks or the easement.
Okay.
Is it a dashed line?
No, it's like a little,
That's the road coming in
That's the
for
one
those 3 lots.
that's gonna come in and, okay. I'm talking about right here, not the one there.
No, that's an easement. That's a
Okay,
drainage
okay,
easement.
thank you.
VA 25-0003 is a request for a variance to LDC section 153-6.3 that allows for a 6-foot fence with a 1-foot concrete barrier for a total fence height of 7 feet. We talked about this at the LPA meeting, and I put up pictures because it's a lot easier to explain with pictures. So as staff reviewed this request, the request didn't meet some of the criteria for a variance. There weren't any peculiar or unique things about the lot that would allow it to have a variance. And they had built the fence previously that wasn't in line with the permit, so they created the hardship on themselves. So based on that, just based on the LDC, I recommended denial. But in taking it to the LPA reviewed it. We looked at pictures of the fence. We talked through it. And as you can see, it's a very nice fence. It would be kind of a shame to have them take it down. So the LPA recommended that you approve it. And so I am coming tonight with a recommendation of approval from the LPA. I did a drawing on this next slide to show you. So in the LPA meeting, we talked through trying to build up the ground maybe to see if we could get it up to where it was just the fence, but there's a drainage ditch that comes right off of the end of the fence. So there's no way to build up that ground. We talked through other couple things, trying to come up with some creative ideas to make it work. But in the end, ultimately, they're going to need a variance for that 1-foot concrete barrier across the bottom because it gives it a total elevation of 7 feet.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a question on this. So if the intent is to drain water off the property, but if it ends up holding water on the property, are we gonna be on the hook for that? Or
No,
is the
that would
landowner?
just be if they're flooding their own property, but it's not interfering with the drainage ditch or anything, moving along the roadway right there.
He's saying with the concrete, it won't interfere.
No, no, ma'am. It just might hold water onto their own property.
Right, but that's my point. If it does that, because they're wanting it to keep water from entering their property. If it holds water on the property, are we on the hook for that?
No, we're not.
We're not, okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The only thing I want to say with this, guys, is we've had this quite a bit come up in another area. And we don't want to get in a situation where you just ask forgiveness rather than permission. So as we set precedents, if we say, hey, you know, we're going to, and I get it, it's a nice looking fence, nice looking house. But those rules and regulations are in place for a reason. So the next guy comes in and it's 8 feet. I mean, we got to be careful, because once you start, then you're going to have more to come. So I just want to, you know, make everyone aware that we need to, when you go to build, know what you can build before you build it. I mean, it's not that hard. Is it set back properly? Is it on the property where it belongs, or has all that been looked at?
It's all been looked at. It just failed the final inspection because of the height. So everything has been inspected, everything's been good to go. They will be adjusting the permit. The permit was for a 6-foot wood fence. This is a vinyl and glass fence. So the permit is being adjusted, and that's part of the process. Once if they're granted the variance, they have to fix the permit and bring it into accordance with the actual fence.
Well, the reason I'm saying this, in my district, there's a lot of things that get built and shouldn't be built. And then they come in and, well, we'll just pay the fine, we don't care. And well, at some point, we gotta say, well, no, you're gonna tear it down. I'm not talking about this fence tonight. What I'm talking about is we have to set a precedence to, you know, you're not just gonna come in and do what you wanna do. So that's the reason I'm saying this, because this is gonna come up again.
So I understand where you're coming from. I can tell by looking at this home and going by it. This constituent has quite a big investment in the area of Montour, which, you know, that's his choice. What I would say, in order to maybe protect us with that precedence, what if moving forward on this permit is a specific fence permit, or is it in line with the main construction of the home?
It's a specific fence
Independent.
permit.
So why don't we put a disclaimer on the fence permit stating that if you don't, you will have to have it torn down should we get to that point if you do not build it based on the regulations that the county has set forth.
The only reason I'm saying this, guys, we've got,
I
we got a lot of battles with it.
Yeah.
I'll just say it, in the city, we got a lot of battles with fences, and the problem is that you approve one, and then they just start popping up
Yeah.
without a permit. That's what I'm saying. This is nice, it's beautiful, I don't have nothing, I'm just saying, as we move forward, I can see this being an issue in other areas.
I understand both you guys, but he had a permit for a fence. He didn't do the proper fence, the fence that, whatever type it was supposed to be, but he did do a permit. I would like to do the variance with it and let them come back and correct their permit. And it's not a house. I mean, it might be a house the next time, but it's a fence. But we just need to correct it as we move forward.
And I'll take it a step further. Was this an owner-built permit, or did he hire a company to put it in?
Did it
He
himself.
did,
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
because it has glass in it, and he has a glass company or something.
Gotcha. Okay.
I understand, Madam Chair, I'm not saying turn it down, I'm
Oh,
just
I think,
saying,
you know.
setting a precedence, we gotta be careful going forward, so.
I understand. So what are your thoughts on some kind of disclaimer moving forward to address that precedent issue? Ryan?
I can look and see if there's some language. We have pretty strict language within our permitting and they didn't build it according to the permit to begin with. So even with that language in there, it wouldn't have, I don't think it would have changed what they would have done. Just because, like I said, it was a wooden privacy fence that was applied for, and this is a whole different fence.
And we do have, not to get into specific locations, but we do currently have several locations where the fence has got to be removed because we can't get, like, this is a different animal, if you will, than some of the other locations and cases that we're dealing with, and they will have to remove the fence.
Now, if it was a private fence and it was 8 foot tall, I would say ask them to remove it, but it's not that. So it's a, you know, I guess some things you take case by case, and this is that case. Like I said, it's not a house, it's a fence, and he did have a permit. He used the wrong materials to build the fence.
You answered all my questions. My first question was there a permit? You said there was a permit. Was there approved drawings? Obviously, they had approved drawings. And was it constructed and inspected according to the permit?
Yes, and that's why it failed.
So, so it wasn't constructed correctly, because it's different than what was approved. So, I'm with you. Sooner or later, we've got to say no. I'm not saying that's today, but, you know, we've got to hold owner builders to the same standards, because that's where we get a lot of our problems. You know, some of them know, some of them don't know. So the ones that don't know are the ones that halfway build it, and then it's a problem. So,
I have a question. When that take place, is there a fine established with this as well?
If they build without having a permit, when they come back in for the permit, it's a double permit fee for an after-the-fact permit.
Okay,
But like Commissioner Wills says, is that some people just pay the permit
yeah,
to
and
just-
move
to
on.
get what they
Yeah.
want.
And
so-
I get it. I mean,
yeah.
I get it. I do understand, you know, because we have bad players. And it's not that we're letting him get away with it, but they talking about setting preference, and I get it, so.
And it's not to say, you know, I'll make a motion to approve, but there again, his neighbor shows up, wants to build the same thing, and doesn't mean that we're gonna do it, you know, so
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Again, the fence is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the fence. I don't have a problem with the fence at all. But going forward, we are going to have these conversations, so.
Right, and that was my point of trying to put something within the permit process of, and maybe you address it more so on, I think you do it on all of them, but, or focus on the owner built, you know, you emphasize on the owner built. I mean, they decided to, you know, do it on their own, so you better do it by the letter of the law, but.
that's the
I'll
thing.
second the motion.
That's the thing, when you build, you have to uphold the same statute. You know, you don't get to say, well, I don't have to follow this part of the code because I'm not a contractor.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
there's still that same level of,
And I know we just need to be
Expertise.
careful.
Yep.
You know, we need to be careful on our decision-making when it comes to that, so I understand. Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Wills. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. It's a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak concerning that matter? Thank you. So we're gonna go to staff reports.
Motion to approve the motor grader.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wills, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank
Get
you.
a grader. That one thing is at the yard, Lord.
We have, well, I know it's Mr. Anthony, but he got a village number 1. Can you come up, please? State your name when you get to the podium, please.
That was an easy presentation for you, Shane. You did a great job, just so you know.
I got Tommy a truck, so I don't mind helping. Even though he done me dirty.
Please state your name for the record.
Anthony Green. Good evening, Commissioners, Ms. Berg. Mr. Red here.
Eddie Red Senior.
So we are the Village One nonprofit organization in Hendry County. We have been feeding and employing and housing and doing what we can for the community. And, you know, it's all out of pocket. And we are looking for some form of assistance from the county.
So I know Mr. Anthony, he was a part of another organization, and he pulled away. They feed a lot of people in the community. They help with jobs, they help with clothing. The appropriate way to do that is going through, there's a form, am I not right, Emily? There's a, to get assistance from the county.
501(c)(3).
I don't know, do you have a 501(c)(3)?
We do.
Yes.
I would, if I may, I would recommend if you could get us information about your program.
Absolutely.
What you've done, how much money you've raised, what you've done with the money that you've raised, and how much you're requesting, then we will look at that from a staff. We'll get it to the board for their
know,
consideration.
And what grants you've applied for?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what typically that's what we do with all of the folks that come before, to the board to receive assistance.
Okay.
Thank
I know
you.
you're familiar with that one. so,
Absolutely. I
okay.
just wanted y'all to know that we're here. We have 2 new
Thank you.
commissioners.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time? Next, we're gonna have, Mr. Robert Walmack. Am I correct?
You're good.
Good evening, Commissioners. My second county commission meeting today. I'm the garbage guy up in DeSoto County, have been for all of my life. Talked to Shane this morning. He's got a good response from Shane. As many of you know, I've been interested in when the invitation to bid comes out and putting in a bid. I think I've been talking with Shane since October, maybe, somewhere in there. Everybody, I know staff has a lot on their plates, but as I understand, Shane says next week he's hoping to be able to get it out. One of the questions as I was thinking about that was, if it comes out next week, when do you think how many weeks until we would know, who the winner of the bid would be? What would be your guess? We're talking mid-May now.
For the record, for proposals, we usually advertise 30 days. So you figure in May, it come in June. Selection committee, the way the board approved it, there was a selection committee gonna meet, rank the proposals, give our recommendation to you. Then you all get to hear the proposal yourself, all the proposals, you get to hear them, and you rank them as you see fit. Ours is just a courtesy recommendation, so I'm assuming that would be July. Because you had the last meeting in July, we'd have time in there to have the selection committee. At the worst case, it'd be August, but I'm assuming July.
So, and that's kind of my point, is if it comes out next week and we're looking at, you guys know, August 1st. You got August, September, the contract starts in October. I don't know how many of you have tried to order a large heavy-duty piece of equipment with anything attached to it, but it's, you're looking a minimum of 6 months, which means a small guy like me who doesn't have any extra, I have extra equipment. I have 15 pieces of equipment in my shop, and I have 5 pieces that are extras, but not enough to come down and start on the job. And to start it with the garbage truck, you're looking around $8,000 per piece of equipment per month, just to rent on a short-term basis. So it's going to get, a smaller guy like myself, based on the time frame that we have, it's going to make it very expensive in order to compete, which kind of lends itself right back to your present hauler really was going to have the advantage. So, so be it if that's what you're happy with. If you're looking for something new and someone like myself who would be a little more engaged with the community, and you'd have my phone number and that sort of thing, if I were the low bidder, it wouldn't work out, I don't believe, for an October 1 start date. I'm not saying for 100%, but it would be very difficult to do such. And then I was at the meeting when we spoke about 5 years or 7 years. Wasn't that one of the recommendations, Shane? Right. You guys voted 5 and 5. And again, I've been in this thing 39 years myself. I understand you want to try to keep the number of years down on the hauler side, but when you're trying to amortize equipment, we're talking just in trucks, probably at least $5 million. The price is going to be higher based on a 5-year contract than a 7-year contract. If you put yourself in the hauler shoes and do the math, it's going to be more expensive if you stick with the 5 years on a contract basis. But there's just a lot of moving parts. I know y'all were talking about potentially going to residential 95-gallon cans again to get, I think y'all were talking about replacing all 10,500 or so. That's a lot of carts to be able to get in, put out all by October 1. So I would suggest maybe a January start date perhaps, or something on a quarterly, just to give a little bit of a difference there.
What do you think your lead time? I'm sure you've looked into it. I know you've been planning on this for a while. What is your lead time on those cans?
The cans are not as big a deal as the trucks. The trucks are the main thing. I can tell you, I run all Mack trucks, and I might be able to pull some strings, but I know initially they told me there was like 2 allocations for trucks for 2025.
Shane, so our contract expires when with our current hauler? And then is there language in there that we can extend it on a month-to-month basis based on the same rate? Well, maybe like a little 2 or 3%.
Our current contract's September 31st, so October 1st would be ideal to start a new one. You can amend the contract to add. I don't know if I would add month to month. I would pick a block of times, what I would recommend.
To cover, yeah.
I mean, that way the existing hauler knows specifically when, and everybody else knows.
And then what is that? I'm assuming there's an increase on it once the contract expires. There's an automatic increase for what's the acronym I'm looking for? We deal with acronyms all the time. There you go.
There would be, I'd say there'd be a CPI increase. Usually in May, they ask for it, April. We did it last time, automatic. But it'd only be for that short period of time.
Okay.
So whatever you guys decide.
So not to discourage you, you get all these trucks and then you lose the bid.
Well, that's what I'm
Well, that's
trying
what
to. I'm not gonna order any trucks.
Right.
You know, based on a chance that I'm gonna get the bid. I mean, and nobody out there is going to do that either.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is you could potentially in this time frame be kind of hemming it in where just your current service provider is the only one who wants to bid under the time limitations and with a 5-year contract. That's going to be a challenge as well. I'm friends with all of the bigger companies, and I can tell you, nobody likes a 5-year deal. All it is the time enough to pay for your equipment, and then people want to bid again. When you in our business, it's a revolving door. We buy a piece of equipment. We intend for it to last about 5 years. By year 3 or 4 into the contract, we're coming back to you guys and saying, "Hey, are you happy with us? Because we'd like to buy some more equipment because it's going to take a year to get it, and we need another 5-year extension on top of that." So I know it's
So how many new employees would you be hiring to handle Hendry County?
it probably 30.
And you're going to need to have time to hire them as well. So
Everything takes time, unfortunately. Government takes the most time, but everything takes time. And I'm not trying to be discouraging. I can tell you, I haven't worried him to death. I've maybe worried him a little more than he'd like for me to. But, I'm seeing the handwriting on the wall, and everybody keeps pushing me, and I'm like, well, give me some time. I've got to figure this out. I've got equipment people calling me every week. Have you made a decision yet? Like, hey, can't bid on it yet. It's not out. It's not out. So I'm just trying to put that out there, some thoughts for you guys and ladies to think about. And if you're really wanting what's best for the citizenry, and I know you are, or you wouldn't be up here serving, then I just ask that you consider that, try to make the best decision that you have to be able to do that. And again, I don't have any idea on the service that you're getting, whether it's excellent to poor. I can tell you can call any of my commissioners and they will tell you that they have 0 issues with my service. That's what I can tell you. So,
Yes.
Shane, so June, the first meeting in June will be bid openings?
No, sir. No, sir. The advertisement
Advertising.
would be in next week's paper, so you advertise 30 days. So then when they come in, they'd be evaluated. We'd set a selection committee meeting time. That selection committee would review, rank, that'd be a public meeting. That's just a recommendation to you all, and then you all would hear an actual presentation and look at everything. So you're looking at July.
Second meeting in July?
There's only one meeting in July.
Only
that's
one
right,
meeting,
that's right,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So what are our recommendations right now?
So I have a question.
You have, yes.
You're done?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So all we do is put it in the newspaper to advertise, or do we reach out to other waste haulers and say, hey, we're going out to bid?
When we put it in the newspaper, as soon as the day it hits the newspaper, we send out a solicitation to the current hauler. We send it to anybody that's interested. We got Coastal Waste, Waste Management, Waste Pro,
Okay.
Mr. Womack's company, and we also put it on the, there's a website we use for advertising, drawing a blank right now, but it's the same one we use for all the engineering, just gets blasted everywhere.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
If it turns into anything, the conversation like they had at the city, if the hauler we have now doesn't get the contract, he's probably gonna pull out. It got pretty nasty at the city.
The
That's
same-
always, I mean, and,
Are we using
and if
the
I
same
was a
one?
hauler, I might
We're
do
using
the
the
same.
same hauler, yeah. Well, I know you're correct, but my point there is if he pulls out, we have no service.
So can we look at that contract to make sure there's language in it that protects us? Because if not, we need to make sure that it's like that on the next contract.
That's right.
Didn't you already get a 1-year extension?
At the point this company doesn't get this contract, they could say, hey, we're not gonna give you the extended time. And we've got to be aware of that. And then at that point, we're gonna put ourselves in a bad situation if we do not have a service in place.
So the best point would be to go ahead and give them another 1 year and then go ahead and bid it, and then you're taken care of. Then you have plenty of time for the next guy. Or go ahead and marry the one person that you already have.
Mr. Wills, what you were talking about, if you're gonna give you're talking about not renewing with the city of LaBelle, or are you talking about
No,
not?
no,
renewing?
no, no. The city
Okay.
renewed, but they got the companies that came in for the bid, when they came in, it got really nasty.
I got you.
So that's what I'm saying. And it's,
I
we're
would
talking about
say-
trash. Imagine
right.
that. So again, we just got to be aware of the fact that if we did say, hey, you guys didn't get the bid, we're going to go with, I'm sorry, names, I'm horrible.
Mr. Womack.
Garbage man. So we're going to go with the garbage man. Well, the garbage man can't do the job at this point.
Right.
So at that point, how long will lapse will we have of service, and
Mm-hmm.
so we just got to be aware of all the key players in this. I'm not saying anything either way, because as long as they provide the service and the constituents have the service, I don't care what it says on the side of their truck. I just want to make sure they're getting service
Just want to
properly.
make sure I understood what you were saying.
Do you have a performance
We got a
contract on that?
Yeah, we have a performance guarantee that they have to keep. But if you are gonna do an extension, you'd wanna do the extension now, whatever time frame you want, you'd wanna do it now before, you make a decision on the bids, cause then you don't wanna like award the bids like, hey, I need you to do it for a couple more months. You'd wanna do it now. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that moving forward on the next contract and the RFP that you're going out for, we want to make sure that that language is set in stone to protect us for the next time if it
Is
doesn't
there
work out
anything in
right
there,
now.
Mr. Mack?
I haven't reviewed it. I imagine there is. I mean, I didn't draft that agreement, but they almost always do have performance guarantees and things like that. And I understand people get mad when they don't get contracts, but they like money too. I mean, so there's that trade-off. I have a hard time believing they don't want 3 or 4 months or 6 months worth of payments.
Shane, can we make that
But,
decision when it come back? Instead of trying to make it tonight, do we have to make it now, or can we wait till?
I mean, you can
After-
make it, well,
Why don't you, if I may?
We don't have time to think about this.
Yeah, let's if staff can talk and come up with a recommendation for the next meeting, would that work,
I
Shane?
wouldn't want to
yeah,
make it now.
May 27th.
That was my only intent in coming and being down here, is to, before the ball really got rolling, is to be able to step in and ask you guys maybe to think about what you're doing. So I see it happen all the time, and like I say, just up the road in Arcadia, I'm not a long way away. I've got a son who's 28 years old and capable of running the business here and moving down here and doing that sort of thing, and I'm just interested in expansion, so.
So he's not a trash man yet, but he's going to be.
Trash boy right
Trash
now. He's working on the man part, Of course, he is about 6'3" and 220 pounds. So my dad would say, if he's a boy, how big are the men where you come from? And I'd say pretty big. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. It was funny. Thank you so much. So this is a public hearing. Once again, anyone from the public wishes to speak. If not, we're gonna go district by district.
All right,
Commissioner
Mitchell, I
Gillespie?
got a list.
I hope not.
What'd you say Mitchell for?
All right, because you always make fun of me. All right, the first one, just real easy. Ryan, on the monthly activity report, can we add impact fees to that report as well, please? Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. I'd like to congratulate James Orlinski for becoming the new Plus Director. I found out a little while ago that it's official. You have big shoes to fill, but I do believe you can handle it. Congratulations, well deserved.
We get a speech out of it?
Don't you think he should, right?
Something. Something.
Jimmy, do you want to say a few words? You've never been shy of a few words. I mean, you did come dressed up for the occasion.
Jimmy, you have 3 minutes.
He can't tell you his name in 3 minutes.
Him and his fancy new truck, I tell you.
Director Jimmy Orlinski, Director of Hendry County Utilities, Port LaBelle.
Have you said that before? Is that the first
Been
time?
practicing it in the mirror. Thank you for the opportunity. Roger Greer's, like you said, very, very hard shoes to fill. I'll do my best that I can.
Congratulations, man. Proud of you.
Congratulations, Jimmy.
Jennifer, I'd like to get, I know budget times are maybe the wrong time to do this, but I think with everything going on with animal control, I think it would be no better time than to revisit every interlocal agreement that we have signed with anybody. I think we need to look at that, and then we need to start revisiting, you know, for example, what this gentleman was talking about on the waste hauler. It kind of spurred a conversation I want to make sure that we never leave a stone unturned and make sure that we cross every T and dot every I multiple times. And so I'd like to start off with the interlocal agreements, please. I think some of them are so outdated that perfect example is animal control. Now we're going to be left off without animal control, and the money that I look at as invested over the years, we've basically lost.
If I may give
Yeah.
you a quick update on animal control. So we got official notice from, well, first of all, we verbally talked to city staff about them wanting to give back the unincorporated area back to the county. And they originally said, take as much time as you need. Then we got notice as of June 30th. And so I had talked to Danny last week, I think it was, verbally. We met internally, staff, we had a meeting, we've had several meetings, and he did agree to finish out the year. And so now the new date is officially October 1. So obviously for animal control, that'll be the first one, along with, we'll look at all the other ones. So the city of Cluison will go away, and then we've talked to the city of LaBelle, and we're going to be reworking that agreement for animal control specifically. But to your point, I did talk to Danny about vehicles, for example, because we've contributed money all these years, and it's not just for operating, it's not just for personnel services, you know, it's went towards equipment and capital and the facility and so forth, but that agreement was so old, it's, I think back from the 80s maybe, there was nothing in there that protected the county to recoup some of those dollars from a capital improvement perspective. But I did ask Danny, can we talk about it? And he said yes. So they've been, very helpful from that perspective, and he's supposed to be getting back with me. For example, we talked about vehicles to see if we can't get, I think they only have 2, so, we may get 1, but that's something. And of course, they don't have to do it, but they should do it, and I think I'm hopeful that they will do it, so.
I've got one question.
Yes.
So with this agreement, how do we pay the city for what we agreed to pay them? Do we pay it by the month? Do we pay them all lump sum?
I believe we pay by the quarter. Quarter. Yes.
Any other comments concerning that?
Yeah, the school zone cameras. I know that FDOT is getting involved with a response to Jim McVeigh's email. Are we any closer on that?
DOT went out and looked at some of the school zones, not all of them. They made some comments about them. Actually had my staff go through. I actually read the speed zone manual to see what my thoughts on it were. I got a few questions for DOT and clarifications, and then if there's any adjustments to be made, we'll make the adjustments.
Okay, that's, once again, that's one of those things that we need to prioritize. I know you got a lot on your plate, but we got to get to the point where we address that email.
So now you update me.
But to clarify, there's two different things going on. There's a Facebook post that may or may not be accurate, and then there's DOT standards and things like that. And so we have an opinion, and Kevin, I don't know if you want to speak about it or not, but we have information from the vendor about compliance with all of the locations. And if you don't mind, Kevin, we've gone back and forth today quite a bit in emails trying to clarify and get clarification.
Yeah, so to bring you up to speed, there's a gentleman that questioned the validity of the locations and the, I think, statutes as to how, I don't know, can you give her an update as to where we're at on that?
Kevin Nelson, what he's referring to does not apply to school zones. It applies to if you're coming into the city and the speed limit's gonna go from 55 to 40, you gotta have a warning sign so many feet before. The school zones are different. He was also using an old guide that, the new guide, it doesn't have anything to do with school zones. So the company that put the signage out, we're in compliance with FDOT, and some of the markings need to be updated, which we already knew that, and you all are looking at the beacons, for the school zones, so that's a priority too. That was the sheriff's priority immediately, and so I think that's going to be addressed sooner than later.
But the revision he had on there was from December of '23, so how is that old? I mean, they've had a revision since then?
No. His first email, if you look at it, it was from like 2008 or something. And then when DOT went out, they gave us a 2018 manual. The picture he showed on that was a picture from 2023, but I don't know what he was talking about. What he's talking about on that table, on the speed reduction tables, they don't apply to school zones.
Okay. All right, like I said, I just want to be able to put a rebuttal to it formally so that we can address any issues. And if we are in the wrong, or sheriff, or the vendor, whoever it is, we just need to get it addressed.
Yeah,
Well,
and I sent his email to Shane and John Anderson over at the DOT, and he's got a crew looking over it. So I'd suggest we wait until they come back with their response before we respond.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That's all I got.
Commissioner Howard.
Sorry, Mitchell.
Madam Chair, I've already expended all of my business by district, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I just want to, kind of talk to staff just a little bit. You guys, again, all you get is complaints. Jimmy, congratulations. You've been in that field a lot of years. Your guys respect you highly. So you get to work. Roger, the nice thing Roger said the other day is, I'm not leaving, and I'm still going to come back and make sure he's doing it right. So I think you're in good hands with Roger. And Shane, you guys have really helped us a lot with the paving and different stuff we've had going on. I really appreciate that. Tommy, in code enforcement, you probably have one of the hardest jobs in the county. Everybody hates code enforcement, and obviously you're the face of it, which means you're doing the job. You're doing a good job. So people's mad at you all the time. You're doing the right things. I know that a lot of times as commissioners, we sit up here and we set policy. But the fact is, we depend on staff to take that policy, run with it. Daniel's getting the firsthand knowledge of that with cemeteries now. He's getting a dose of that. And years ago, his dad helped write a lot of that policy. And it's policy we've had for many years. So again, when I said earlier about, people working all the hours and different stuff, I think we need to look at some of these higher positions that are putting in 70 hours a week. The lady over here to my left, I go by admin all the time, and I know her car's not broke down. She's still there. And all they get is complaints. So we need to make sure that staff understands, as far as commissioners, they make us look good. We sit up here twice a month, and we do the stuff in the field during that time. These folks do it all the time. Ms. Hunter, when I have issues, any kind of legislation questions, I send them straight to you. So that lady's got her finger on the pulse. So it's incredible to be able to sit here and tell you guys, at one point I worked with you out there daily. And to sit here today and be able to tell you guys how much I appreciate you is an honor for me. So thank you for all you do. Thank you.
The only thing I've got is for you, Shane. The railroad track that they redone on 835, they're complaining that on each side of the asphalt, it's got big dips. Where they cut it short. You know, it's never good enough or enough.
Is it the same contractor that did Francisco Street?
I don't know.
God, that was horrible.
I will check it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been there to look at it.
Yeah, if you can check it out and just see if it's, you know.
I figured anything was better than what it was, but we'll check it out.
Yeah, the thing is, I appreciate everything that was fixed. You did those 4 spots down there, and then it was, 300 more feet, there's another one. Like, wow, only so much money. So, thank you.
Commissioner Wills.
Hey, I'm sorry, question. How many of y'all actually got to talk to DOT? Did all of you get to speak to them?
I have not.
I did. We had a good conversation the other day, and we brought up several of the roads over here. Mr. Parker was on the call, Ms. Davis, myself, Secretary Nadum, and I cannot remember the lady's name, saved my life.
Nicole.
Nicole. We discussed the intersections of Evercane, Flag Hole Road.
Yes.
I came home last Saturday. I went to Palm Beach, and was coming home that night. They are dark. There's no lighting on 27 at all. I know we've had several fatalities down at Flag Hole, and Secretary Nadum really spoke highly about working on these intersections. So just so you guys haven't had the opportunity yet, if you have, if you could reiterate that to the DOT, that these are pressure points where we got folks' lives in danger on those 2 roads. And when you go at nighttime, it's dark. I come in the other night about 11, it's dark on those intersections.
Yeah, you don't get no light coming to Clewiston until you get into Clewiston.
Right.
So, and that's what I told him this morning when I had my call with him.
Perfect.
That Evercane, Holiday, Old 27, and Flag Hole Road really needed lights. You know, I understand that Flag Hole Road isn't a spot where you want a red light. It's probably not practical. But to light the intersection, that's the first step to safety. Light it up so people can see. And we need it on the south side of Clewiston as well. They agreed and said once they get to talk to everyone, they're gonna put their list together, get us some questions, and Nicole said that she was gonna set up where they come talk to the board.
That'd be perfect. So I just wanted to throw that out, and if y'all
And I
talk
believe
about it.
everyone spoke.
They need to drive it at night.
Everyone spoke
Yeah.
on that concern. So, because we live here, I slow down when I get there. Because when I see the car in the intersection, but it need to be lit up, but also the drivers need to be more attentive to what they're doing. But it do still need to be lit up so we don't lose anybody else there. You know, we need to do what we can do to help it.
Right.
So,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
was that it, Commissioner? So for District 1, I'm on the board for the Ag Labor Foundation for the county, and they also have the CDBG, and it's not the same as the one that work with housing. So on that board, there was money established for Hendry and Glades County, so I went to the board and I brought it up, and one county they serviced 313 people. They serviced 2 in Glades County and only 4 in Henry County. That money was established for 4 counties, Glades, Henry, Highland, and Polk County. So when I did bring it up, they was upset because I did go to Tallahassee and I addressed it because I addressed them first. I started at the bottom and worked my way to the top before I went to them. But they still have not serviced our county. So I would like for the board to direct the county administrator to write a letter so that we can, the money that's established for us, let us work our own money for our own constituents. So they have not used that money at all in Henry or Glades County. I did send her the report. There's a report that come out, and we already had the meeting. I just feel like that because nothing's being said, it's like it was a joke. So when I did talk to Tallahassee, they knew who it was off the top. but something else need to happen. That money is established for, the money basic is for, to help with rent, to help people that's moving into new housing and don't have their first and last month rent. But for us to be such a small county, you only service 3 or 4 of our, so that's a whole year. I didn't go back 2 or 3 years, I only went back 1 year. So I do feel like that we need to be able to, help by helping our county, is we issue the money out ourselves. So I would like to see the board recommend that she write a letter to Tallahassee, recommend that the money that's set aside for our county, and I don't have a problem working with our neighbors, that we establish, and I already talked to Jennifer about this, that we do our own, work ourselves, It's not fair, it's not right. So we're not important to them, but we have to be important to ourselves. So I ask that you make that recommendation, that Jennifer write them and see what we can do, that we can, do our own CBG. This have nothing to do with the housing, what Emily does. And there was money also for Ian that we did not get any. So I'm not even talking about Ian now, I'm talking about money that's established for us, period. And it's not being used in our county.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Before we dismiss, I'd like to read this into minutes. A county client section concerning ECHO and ER. Can you possibly announce that for me?
Yana?
Yana, thank you. Yana Industrial versus Henry County and R&R Harvesting versus Henry County. We are now commencing attorney-client's section in case of ECHO in ER Hana Industrial versus Henry County, cases number 2025-CA23 and 2025-CA-24, and R&R Harvesting versus Henry County, case number 2024-CA685. County Administrator Matt Rowland has requested advice concerning this case. Each section is estimated to be at least 30 minutes. The person in attendance are Commissioner Michael Ackerson, Commissioner Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Wells, County Commissioner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Matt Roller, and Certified County Report Liz Barnes. We now enter into a confidential portion of the meeting. All members of the audience are asked to leave at this time. So we're going to ask you all to